Today, we will be talking about William Shakespeare's play A Midsummer Night's Dream. In this play, Theseus, the Duke of Athens, is preparing for his marriage to Hippolyta, the Queen of the Amazons. To celebrate his marriage, Theseus plans to have a festival. He commissions his master of revels, Philostrate, to find entertainment for the festival. However, before any entertainment can begin, Aegeus, an Athenian nobleman, marches into Theseus's court with his daughter, Hermia, and two young men, Demetrius and Lysander. Aegeus wishes Hermia to marry Demetrius, who loves Hermia, but Hermia is in love with Lysander and refuses to obey her father. Aegeus asks for the full penalty of law to fall on Hermia's head if she will not obey his wishes and marry Demetrius. Theseus tells Hermia she has until his wedding to consider her options. He warns her that disobeying her father's wishes could result in her being sent to a convent or even executed. Nonetheless, after they all leave Theseus's court, Hermia and Lysander get together and plan to escape Athens. They plan to leave the following night and marry in the house of Lysander's aunt. They make their intentions known to Hermia's friend Helena, who was once engaged to Demetrius and still loves him, even though he split up with her after meeting Hermia. Hoping to regain his love, Helena tells Demetrius of the elopement that Hermia and Lysander have planned. On the night of the escape, Demetrius goes into the woods to find Hermia and Lysander, and Helena follows behind him. The forest or woods that Hermia, Lysander, Demetrius, and Helena run off into is the home of the fairies. The fairies seem to be broken up into two groups. One group follows Oberon, the fairy king. The second group follows Titania, his queen, who has recently returned from India to bless the marriage of Theseus and Hippolyta. Oberon and Titania are at odds over a young Indian prince or changeling boy given to Titania by the prince's mother. Oberon and Titania are fighting because Oberon wishes to make the boy a knight, but Titania refuses to give the boy to him. Seeking revenge, Oberon sends his merry servant, Robin Goodfellow, or Puck, to acquire a magical flower, the juice of which can be spread over a sleeping person's eyelids to make that person fall in love with the first thing he or she sees when they wake up. Puck obtains the flower, and Oberon tells him of his plan to spread its juice on the sleeping Titania's eyelids. Oberon also has additional plans to use the magic flower on the four young Athenians that are in the forest. Having seen Demetrius act cruelly towards Helena, Oberon orders Puck to spread some of the juice on the eyelids of the young Athenian man. Puck finds Lysander and Hermia. Thinking that Lysander is the Athenian Oberon was talking about, Puck afflicts him with the love potion. Lysander happens to see Helena upon waking and falls deeply in love with her, abandoning Hermia. As the night progresses, Oberon learns of Puck's mistake and orders Puck to correct it. Puck attempts to undo his mistake, but both Lysander and Demetrius end up in love with Helena, who believes that they are mocking her. Demetrius and Lysander start to fight over Helena and agree to duel for her love. However, before any fighting can take place, Puck confuses the young Athenians by mimicking their voices and leading them apart until they are lost separately in the forest. This gives him a chance to correct his mistake. As all this confusion is happening in one part of the forest, Oberon watches his plan to trick and humiliate Titania unfold in another. When Titania wakes, the first creature she sees is Bottom, the most ridiculous of the Athenian craftsmen, whose head has been transformed into an ass's head. Titania falls in love with him because of the love juice and tells him he will stay in the forest with her and the fairies will take care of him. Oberon watches Titania make a fool of herself and obtains the changeling Indian boy. Oberon finally decides that Titania has been tricked enough and reverses the effects of the love juice. Titania cannot figure out why she loved Bottom, and she and Oberon make up and the feud between the fairies ends. Puck eventually gets the young Athenians in their proper places and they all go to sleep. Puck then spreads the love potion on Lysander's eyelids, and by morning all is well. Theseus and Hippolyta discover the sleeping lovers in the forest and take them back to Athens to be married. Much to the dismay of Aegeus, Theseus decides that Hermia can marry Lysander and Demetrius will marry Helena, and they will all get married with Theseus and Hippolyta that night. After the group wedding, the lovers watch Bottom and his fellow craftsmen perform their play, a fumbling, hilarious version of the story of Pyramus and Thisbe. When the play is complete, the lovers go to bed, the fairies briefly emerge to bless the sleeping couples with a protective charm, then disappear. Only Puck remains to ask the audience for its forgiveness and approval and urge it to remember the play as though it had been all a dream. Now that I've given a brief overview of the play, I want to focus on the effect of the fairy world has on the mortal world of Athens. It seems like the balance of the fairy world and the woods is directly affected by the way people act in the mortal world of Athens. I do not know if this is because the fairies get wild and trick each other and their magic flows into the mortal world of Athens, causing people to act on emotion. It seems like Shakespeare wrote the play. He wanted the fairy world to be an exact opposite of the mortal world. They are almost reversals or reflections of each other. We have the mortal world of Athens that is governed by rules and regulations, and the fairy world that runs off of magic and emotion. As I stated before, it seems like the feud in the fairy world has a direct effect on the actions of the characters in the mortal world. We know what happens after that, but it seems that all of this rash action of emotion comes from the feud between the fairies. Because once the feud ends, everything is set right and they will all live happily ever after. It seems as though when the fairies are angry, excess magic runs rampant and it affects the Athenians. However, once they stop fighting and a truce is called, everything falls into place. Hermia and Lysander end up together, and even though her father is not happy about it, he does not want her dead anymore. Helena ends up with her love, Demetrius, and they are included in the group wedding. All is set right, and everyone lives happily ever after once the fairy feud ends. Therefore, next time you read A Midsummer Night's Dream or any Shakespearean play, try to read critically and find something in the play that does not stand out. Make a prediction or inference as to why certain things happen in the play. It enhances the reading experience and it allows you to be creative with your thoughts.